First contact and confrontation. The Arcturian Dominion had ruled the Orion Arm for 3 millennia. Their vast empire spanned 17 star systems, each one brought to heel by the unstoppable might of the Crimson Armada, a fleet of warships so technologically advanced that most species surrendered upon first sight of their blood-red hulls emerging from hyperspace. Fleet Admiral Zorvan stood on the command deck of the Sovereign Fist, flagship of the Crimson Armada. His 4 eyes, evolutionary gifts that allowed the Arcturians to process visual information with unmatched speed, scanned the tactical display. The fleet's formation was perfect, as it had been for centuries. 300 warships arranged in the sacred triad pattern, ready to obliterate any opposition. Admiral called his sensor officer, mandibles clicking with confusion. "We're detecting an anomaly at the edge of the Proxima system." Zorvan's skin rippled with annoyance. The Proxima system was a recent acquisition, a mineral-rich territory that had required minimal force to claim. What could possibly warrant his attention there? "Specify," he commanded. "A single vessel, sir. Unknown configuration." The officer's voice wavered. "It's small, approximately 1/8 the size of our smallest cruiser." Laughter erupted across the command deck. Even Zorvan permitted himself a chittering chuckle. "A single ship. Has some local resistance group cobbled together a mining vessel with delusions of rebellion?" he mocked. "Send the Talon Wing to intercept. 5 ships should be sufficient to teach these primitives the folly of defiance." The Talon Wing, 5 mid-sized destroyers, detached from the fleet and entered hyperspace, coordinates set for the Proxima system. Zorvan dismissed the matter from his mind. It would be settled before his next meal cycle. 3 hours later, all communications with Talon Wing ceased. "Impossible," Zorvan hissed, his humor evaporated. "Re-establish contact immediately." The communications officer tried every frequency, every protocol. Nothing. "Sir," the sensor officer interrupted, "we're detecting debris, consistent with Arcturian alloys, and energy readings that suggest weapons discharge." Silence fell over the command deck. "Are you telling me," Zorvan said with dangerous quiet, "that 5 of our destroyers were destroyed by a single unknown vessel?" Before anyone could answer, the tactical officer spoke up, his voice strained. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the unknown vessel." "Put it through," Zorvan commanded. The main screen illuminated, revealing a sight most Arcturians had never beheld. A human. The creature looked frail, with only 2 eyes and soft skin that would tear at the slightest pressure. "This is Captain Elena Reyes of the Earth exploratory vessel Horizons Beyond," the human said, her voice steady. "You have claimed territory beyond your rights and destroyed peaceful settlements in the Proxima system. We offered your ships the opportunity to retreat. They refused." Zorvan's rage boiled beneath his exoskeleton. "You dare to challenge the Arcturian Dominion. Your single ship cannot stand against the might of the Crimson Armada." The human's expression didn't change. "We have no desire for conflict, Admiral, but we will not permit your expansion into human-protected space. You have 24 hours to withdraw your forces from the Proxima system." The transmission ended. Zorvan's mandibles clicked together in fury. "Prepare the Fang Division. 20 destroyers, 10 cruisers, and 5 dreadnoughts. This human aberration will be vaporized before the next cycle." His second-in-command approached cautiously. "Admiral, perhaps we should analyze how a single vessel defeated 5 of our destroyers before." "They were caught unprepared," Zorvan snapped. "No more. The full might of a Dominion battle group will crush this impudent creature." The Fang Division departed within the hour, a force that had conquered entire star systems without suffering a single loss. Zorvan returned to his quarters, already composing the victory announcement in his mind. 18 hours later, the unthinkable happened again. "Admiral," his second-in-command's voice trembled over the communication system. "The Fang Division. It's gone." Zorvan rushed to the command deck, his exoskeleton rigid with disbelief. "Explain." The tactical display told the story. Where 35 Dominion warships should have been, there was nothing but debris. The sensors detected a single ship, undamaged, holding position at the edge of the Proxima system. The human vessel employed tactics we've never encountered, reported the intelligence officer. It doesn't use conventional engines or weapons. Our ship's targeting systems couldn't lock onto it. It moved, impossibly. Impossible is an excuse for the incompetent. Zorvan rage. I want every ship we have mobilized. The entire Crimson Armada will annihilate this human pest. As the Arcturian fleet prepared for battle, intelligence officers scrambled to gather information on their mysterious enemy. Reports from subjugated worlds revealed disturbing facts. Humans were relatively new to interstellar travel, but their technological development had followed an unusual trajectory. While most species developed weapons and propulsion systems based on particle physics, humans had apparently discovered an entirely different approach, one that rendered conventional defenses useless. They call it quantum displacement technology, an intelligence officer reported. Their ships don't move through space in the traditional sense. They exist in multiple states simultaneously. Superstitious nonsense, Zorvan dismissed. No species could develop such technology without centuries of research. But doubt had begun to creep into his mind. 2 fleet elements, lost without inflicting a single casualty on the enemy. It was unprecedented in the 3,000-year history of the Dominion. The human transmission came again. This time, Captain Rice looked somber. Admiral Zorvan, I implore you to reconsider your course of action. My ship's defense systems operate automatically. I cannot prevent them from responding to threats. Please, withdraw your forces from this region. Zorvan slammed his armored fist on the console. You threaten the Arcturian Dominion. The Crimson Armada has conquered galaxies while your species was still crawling from the oceans. You will be annihilated, human, and your world will become a footnote in our glorious history. Elena Rice shook her head. I'm sorry to hear that, Admiral. Truly, I am. The Crimson Armada, all 300 ships, entered hyperspace, converging on the Proxima system. Zorvan took personal command, his pride demanding nothing less. As the fleet emerged, sensors immediately locked onto the human vessel. It appeared absurdly small against the backdrop of the Dominion's might. All ships, open fire, Zorvan commanded. 300 Arcturian warships unleashed a barrage that could have shattered a moon. Energy beams and particle weapons turned space itself into a tempest of destruction. When the attack ceased, the human ship remained, untouched. How? Zorvan whispered. That's when the horizons beyond began to glow. The battle and aftermath. Captain Elena Reyes stood on the bridge of the horizons beyond, watching the massive Arcturian fleet with a mixture of awe and regret. 300 warships stretched before her, their blood-red hulls designed to instill terror. The combined firepower directed at her ship seconds ago would have vaporized a small planet, yet the horizons beyond remained untouched. Quantum displacement field holding at 98% efficiency, reported Lieutenant Commander Jackson, his eyes never leaving his console. Their weapons can't touch us, Captain. Elena nodded, her expression grave. She had hoped it wouldn't come to this. The Horizons Beyond was designed as an exploratory vessel, mankind's first ship, equipped with the revolutionary Davies-Chen quantum drive. Its defensive capabilities were meant for unexpected encounters with natural phenomena, not warfare. But the Arcturian Dominion had given her no choice. Intelligence from the frontier colonies had painted a clear picture. 17 star systems conquered, billions subjugated, and countless species exterminated when they resisted. Now the Dominion had reached human space, destroying the research outpost on Proxima Centauri without warning or provocation. Open a channel, Elena commanded. One last attempt. The communications officer nodded, and a moment later, Admiral Zorvan's alien face appeared on the main screen. Admiral, Elena began, you've witnessed that your weapons are ineffective against our technology. Please withdraw your forces. We have no desire to destroy your fleet or take Arcturian lives. Zorvan's mandibles clicked furiously. Human deception. No defense could withstand the combined might of the Crimson Armada. Your ship employs some trickery, a cloaking device that created the illusion of surviving our attack. Elena sighed. It's not an illusion, Admiral. Your weapons function by accelerating particles to near light speed. Our quantum displacement field causes those particles to exist in multiple states simultaneously, effectively passing through our ship without interaction. Lies. Zorvan hissed. All ships, attack pattern Sigma. Surround and concentrate fire. The channel closed. Elena turned to her tactical officer. They're not going to listen, are they? Lieutenant Quan shook her head. Their entire civilization is built on military dominance, Captain. 3,000 years of conquest without a single defeat. They can't comprehend the possibility of losing. The Arcturian fleet began an elaborate maneuver, ships flowing into a spherical formation that would completely surround the horizons beyond. They're trying to create a firing solution that leaves no angle uncovered, Jackson observed. It's actually quite impressive coordination. And completely unnecessary, Elena said quietly. Dr. Chen, is the Q field capable of offensive reconfiguration? Dr. Mai Chen, the quantum physicist whose theories had made the ship possible, nodded solemnly. Yes, Captain. But you should understand what that means. The field won't just disable their ships, it will tear them apart at the quantum level. Elena closed her eyes briefly. How many ships can we target at once without overloading the system? 20, perhaps 30, Chen replied. But Captain, I designed this technology to explore the universe, not to destroy. I know, Mai, and I'm sorry. Elena turned to her tactical officer. Target their forward command ships only. Perhaps a demonstration will convince them. Quan nodded, fingers dancing across her console. 20 Arcturian vessels targeted. Q field reconfigured for offensive deployment. Execute, Elena commanded. There was no beam, no visible projectile. The quantum displacement field simply expanded. 20 Arcturian warships, including Zorvan's flagship, suddenly appeared to distort, as if seen through rippling water. Then, in an instant, they disintegrated, not exploding, but coming apart at the molecular level, dissolving into clouds of particles. Silence fell over the bridge of the horizons beyond. My God, whispered Jackson. They're just gone. The remaining Arcturian fleet froze in disarray. In 3 millennia of dominance, nothing like this had ever happened to them. Their sensors couldn't even explain what they had just witnessed. A new transmission came through, not from the flagship, which no longer existed, but from one of the surviving Arcturian vessels. This is Sub-Commander Vexel of the Crimson Armada, came a shaken voice. What weapon have you deployed against us? Elena leaned forward. It's not a weapon. Sub-Commander. It's a field that alters the quantum state of matter. We can control its effects precisely. We targeted only 20 ships as a demonstration, but we could have targeted your entire fleet. The Arcturians' 4 eyes blinked rapidly in what Elena assumed was shock. Impossible technology. No species could. And yet, here we are, Elena said firmly. Humanity doesn't seek conflict with the Arcturian Dominion. But we will defend ourselves and any species that requests our protection. You have a choice now. Retreat from this system and open diplomatic channels, or continue this battle and lose your entire fleet. The sub-commander was silent for a long moment. The Dominion does not retreat, he finally said, but his voice lacked conviction. Then the Dominion will fall, Elena replied simply. And billions of lives will be lost needlessly. Is that the legacy you wish to leave, Sub-Commander Vexel? The officer who destroyed the great Crimson Armada through pride. Another long silence followed. I'd require time to consult with the remaining command staff, Vexel finally said. You have 1 hour, Elena granted, and the transmission ended. Dr. Chen approached her captain. That was well handled, she said softly. But what if they choose to fight? Elena's expression was grim. Then we do what we must to protect our colonies. But I don't think it will come to that. Even the most warlike species has a survival instinct. She was right. 42 minutes later, the Arcturian fleet began to withdraw, ships turning away from the horizons beyond and jumping to hyperspace in groups. A final transmission came from Sub-Commander Vexel. The Crimson Armada withdraws from this system, for now. But know this, human. The Dominion Council will not accept this defeat. They will study your technology, adapt, return. Elena nodded. And when they do, they'll find humanity ready to talk peace instead of waging war. Tell your council that we invite them to send diplomats, not warships. The galaxy is vast enough for all of us. After the last Arcturian ship disappeared, Elena stood and addressed her crew. What happened here today will change everything. Humanity has announced its presence to the galaxy in a way no one could ignore. Our responsibility now is to ensure we use our technological advantage wisely, not for conquest like the Arcturians, but for protection and peace. Lieutenant Quan looked up from her console. Captain, we're receiving transmissions from multiple systems previously under Arcturian control. News of what happened here is spreading. They're asking for our help. Elena wasn't surprised. 3,000 years of oppression, and suddenly there's hope. Send a message to Earth Command. We'll need more ships out here. In the days that followed, the story of how a single human vessel defeated the mighty Crimson Armada spread across the Orion Arm. Species that had lived in fear for generations looked to the stars with new hope. The quantum displacement technology that Dr. Chen had developed for peaceful exploration had inadvertently shifted the balance of power in the galaxy. On Earth, the implications were not lost on the United Earth government. The Horizons Beyond had been an experimental ship, the only one of its kind. But within weeks, construction began on a fleet of similar vessels, not for conquest, but for a new mission: the protection of sentient rights throughout known space. 6 months after the battle, Captain Elena Reyes sat in a conference room on Earth, briefing government officials on the changing galactic landscape. The Arcturian Dominion has withdrawn from 7 systems already, she reported. Their empire is fracturing as subject worlds declare independence. And yes, they are developing countermeasures to our technology, but Dr. Chen's team stays 3 steps ahead. And what about diplomatic relations? Asked the Secretary General. Elena smiled. Improving, surprisingly. After the initial shock, the Dominion Council has begun to accept that the era of easy conquest is over. They've agreed to preliminary talks next month. I believe they're capable of change. As the meeting concluded, Elena stepped out onto a balcony overlooking the Pacific Ocean. In the night sky above, stars twinkled, each one potentially home to intelligent life. For 3,000 years, those stars had lived under the shadow of the Crimson Armada. Now, because of human ingenuity and a willingness to stand ground when necessary, a new era was beginning. A single ship had changed the course of galactic history, not through superior firepower or aggressive tactics, but through revolutionary technology and the courage to use it responsibly. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and the universe would never be the same again.